What's happening, everybody? This your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, coming at you with another edition of Swag Talk, the show where we cover the swag inside and out. Like to wish everybody a happy Father's Day. A couple of special Father's Day shout outs go to my brother-in-law Edwin Moore. He's a really thorough Jag man, a former jukebox member, and he loves to support HBCU football and pretty much anybody that puts out HBCU content. He is all over it. So I'd like to wish him a happy Father's Day and a special Father's Day goes out to my father, Charles Edward Wells. He is an alumnus of Mississippi Valley State, so this was only appropriate to do this on this show. Valley was one of the first places I went as a kid. He definitely used to talk about Valley all the time. He's not that hard on Valley now, but I'm Team Valley now, so let's go Delta Devils. Let's fire up that Devil's gun. We're going to talk about the Delta Devils today. Before we do all of that, man, go ahead and check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/swagtalk, twitter.com/swagtalk76, instagram.com/swagtalk, and swagtalk76 at gmail.com is the email address. Check out the podcast, Swag Talk. We have an episode up today where we cover Mississippi Valley in more depth statistically. So you can go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and listen to any previous episodes that we have in the archives. Swag Talk can be found on anchor.fm/Swag Talk. Also can be found on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Just search Swag Talk, SWACtalk, all one word. Go ahead and check that out. If you haven't done so already, once you go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube page, we are growing rapidly. So go ahead and subscribe, like the video, share them, hit that notification bell to be alerted to any content that I upload. And feel free, if you feel like it, to jump into the comments. I will respond. I love to go back and forth with anybody on anything. It's no hard feelings. If you disagree with what I say, that's all good. I still will go back and forth with you. If you agree with me, sometimes I still might go back and forth because I do like to look at the other side of things. So sometimes I might take another side of it, even if I do agree. But I just like a back and forth discourse. So if you like to talk, man, hit me up in the comments and we can talk. With all that out the way, man, let's talk about Valley. Not a lot to be said. Obviously, Valley only got 3 of their 6 games in on the season. They were 0-2 on the road, and they did pick up one victory on paper. So they were 1-1 at home. They had to opt out by Alcorn. Valley started their season off on March 14th, losing to Jackson State 43-7. On March 20th, they picked up their forfeit 2-0, as I said, against Alcorn. April 3rd, they played Pine Bluff at home and they lost that game 24-17 in a game that was very obviously the score showed that it was close, but it came down to a punt return in the end by Pine Bluff. Valley was going toe to toe with them. Pine Bluff just could not put them away. Valley just would not stay dead. And that's some of the things that happens when you play in Itabena. Valley does not always go down without a fight at home. They're very tough at home. Even the worst Valley teams put up a fight for a quarter or two at home. On the road, they're a little bit more easier to take care of, but at home, they're definitely tough to beat. And it's a lot of strange magic that takes place in the Delta. They at times they will grow that grass beyond ankle height to slow you down, wet the field down. I heard back in the day they had holes in the field, all kind of stuff like that to slow you down. But they tough at home. They really ambush you at home. So Pine Bluff was able to escape with that W. They lost to Alabama State 42-17 on April 10th in a game that was really close to about midway second half. Valley went for it inside their own 30 on fourth down and didn't get it. Alabama State scored down in the ensuing drive and would cap on another couple touchdowns to put that game out of reach. That game on April 17th against Texas Southern was postponed and then ultimately canceled. And then their game against Alabama A&M on April 24th was postponed and canceled as well, due to the fact that neither team that made the championship played their last game. I think Valley did have some COVID issues. Texas Southern also had some, so that was the wrap on their season. Valley did not do a lot offensively. Offensively this year, they averaged 13.6 points per game. They allowed 36.3 points per game on defense. Now, one thing Valley did do well was run the ball. They were fourth in the league, averaging 153 yards per game, and they were third in the league in rushing defense at 130.3 yards per game. So Valley was very stout against the run, and they got a lot better running the ball. I believe it was like 2017 and 2018. They were averaging like negative yards per game rushing on the season. They just could not run the ball at all. They at points they didn't even try to run anymore. They just went almost exclusively passing. And now they're the other way around. They run well, they don't pass well. They're averaging 277 yards per game on offense. They averaged 124 yards per game passing. They threw one touchdown on the season and two interceptions. The opponents threw the ball for 288 yards per game against Valley, eight touchdowns, three interceptions. The opponents 418 yards per game total offense. The thing that really, one of the things that did Valley in was third down conversions. They averaged 27% on third downs. Obviously, if you do that, that's not going to get you very much success. Defensively, they were pretty good. They were middle of the pack in the league, allowing 35.7 yards. I mean, excuse me, 35.7% third down conversions. The opponents were 14% on fourth down conversions, and Valley was 40% themselves on fourth down conversions. Eight fumbles for Valley, lost on the season, 11 total. Three fumbles for the opponents, lost on the season, four total. Valley had six sacks as a defense. The opponents had 13. Valley, in the red zone, Valley was 4 of 8, including three touchdowns. The opponents were 12 of 15, including 10 touchdowns. Jelani Eason was the leader rusher. He ran the ball for 165 yards and two touchdowns. Caleb Johnson tacked on 135 yards and 135 yards rushing. Easton also was their leading passer. He threw the ball for he threw the ball for excuse me. He threw the ball for 336 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions. The leading receiver was Jarius Clayton. He had 11 catches for 93 yards. Defensively, Keontae Daniels was the leading tackler with 24. Jared Garner had two sacks on the season. He also had 1.5 tackles for loss. So, like I said, this is a team who, they've piecing things together. But when you're a team like Valley, a program like Valley, they've been in a constant rebuild for a long time. I would say probably the last time Valley had a really good offense, you would probably have to go back to like 2007, 2006 or something like that when Aries Nelson was the quarterback there. He was a transfer from Mississippi State back in the day. They just have not had any consistent offenses. They had, like I said, in the mid 2010s, they did have some good passing offenses. Quinn McElfresh was a good receiver for them. Julian Stafford was a guy who was a tremendous athlete for them, receiver and all-purpose type guy. A guy that probably, if he had went anywhere else in the league, he probably would have got a lot more attention. But he put up all conference numbers at Valley. Um, they just don't have those pieces. Valley's a hard program to coach at in terms of what you're working with and what you have in front of you. So they're a team who they're a team who oh, excuse me, that's the wrong banner. What is going on? Valley is a team who hasn't had much success. They've never won the SWAC championship before. So that's just it's just a constant rebuild. You don't have the resources that a lot of teams have. You don't have the budget that a lot of teams have. So when you have a coach that comes in that's young and energetic like Coach Dancy, he's gonna have to work three times as hard to get probably not even a half amount of success as other teams. So it can be frustrating, but it also can be rewarding if you can win. They did hire yesterday a new offensive coordinator, Kenton Evans, from Arkansas Pine Bluff. He was the quarterback coach. So now he's the offensive coordinator, and this is it's gonna be tough to bring in a new offensive coordinator at this point in time and get a system established. So I'm quite sure they're gonna go with kind of what they have. He does. He's coming from Pine Bluff, who had a dual threat type quarterback. So Valley has a runner. I think Eason can develop into a better passer, but offensively, Valley's gonna have to improve, and we won't delve too much into that. We'll delve into that in the fall preview, but Valley is gonna be who they are. So it's just gonna be how much more can they improve week in and week out consistency wise. If they can do that, then obviously they'll be better. I thought they showed some flashes this spring. I thought every game they played, all three games, I thought they showed some kind of uh some kind of flash, although it was fleeting in the Jackson State game. They didn't play very well beyond the first quarter. Third quarter, they played okay. Pine Bluff, they had ups and downs throughout the game, but they kept themselves in it. And then Alabama State, they were competitive to the mid third quarter, and then they just could not get over the hump. But that's kind of what you get from Valley. So, with that being said, we're gonna sign on out. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to this, and we'll be back on Wednesday with another edition of the SWACtalk Time Machine, where we cover the 2007 SWAC Championship, where Jackson State played Grambling. Jackson State will pick up their first SWAC Championship game victory. Next Sunday, we'll be back with another YouTube video preview, recapping the 2021 Spring of Prairie View, as well as a podcast episode on the 2021 Prairie View Spring season. So those are some upcoming things. We may have a video or two drop during the week, depending on how I feel. But that's gonna do it for us today. Everybody, enjoy your Father's Day. Much love and salute to everybody. Thank you for the support and the love. I totally appreciate it and reciprocate it as best as I can. So we'll be back on Wednesday with another trip in time in the SWAC Talk Time Machine. So we'll holler at y'all. I'm out.